Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We're excited to walk you through a new R2 labor feature called Travel Itinerary. Travel Itinerary gives you a simple, streamlined way to organize, track, and manage all of your labor travel details. It brings schedules and assignments together in one place, giving your team better visibility and helping everything run just a bit smoother. Today, we'll look at four aspects that cover the breadth of the new Travel Itinerary module. First, who can access the travel module? I'll show you which user roles and permissions allow access to the travel module within R2 Labor. Next, we'll search and create a new itinerary. We'll learn how to quickly search existing itineraries or create new ones with streamlined tools. Third, we'll look at the planning order details and how the travel itinerary ties back into the planning order. And lastly, we'll take a look at the LaborMate mobile app and see how the itinerary also flows out to that. Here I am in R2 Labor. The travel module is accessible from the hamburger, way up at the top right here. Select Travel, and then Itinerary. If you can't access this, that's because you don't have the required permissions. So let me switch quickly back over to R2 and show you where that is. Okay, so who's allowed to access the travel module? I'm over here in the R2 maintenance module, and note that you do have to be an administrator to access this area of R2. Now, I've already searched for and edited the employee that I want to assign access privileges to. Down here in the bottom, the positions area, there's 3 new positions for the travel itinerary. I'm going to come to add here so that you can see what those are a little more clearly. Now, the 3 new positions are resource, planner, and travel coordinator. You may note that planner was an existing position, but it does play into the travel itinerary access as well. Now, to assign one of these privileges to an employee, you'll double click on this little box right next to the position name. That's going to turn the record blue, which means that it's been selected. Then you'll click on OK to add that privilege back to the employee. If your position is resource, the travel module is not accessible to you. If you are a travel coordinator, you'll be able to access the travel module. If you're a planner, you'll be able to access the travel module and planning order functions of R2 Labor. Now, as a planner or travel coordinator, I'm ready to access and create itineraries. Now that I'm set to access the travel area, let's take a look inside. This is the travel itinerary search screen, where you can find or create new itineraries. You'll see previously scheduled travel itineraries and can search and sort in the usual ways. Now let's look at an existing itinerary. I'm going to check the box next to my November 2025 travel, and then I'm going to click the Edit button up at the top right. Very simple starting to set up a new travel itinerary. Basic information that we need is the travel itinerary name and a description. The other fields that you see underneath in the header, created by, created on, modified by, and modified on, are all automatically populated depending on who's created it and when it's been modified. Below there's areas to link one or more jobs, flights, and hotels. This itinerary is linked to 2 different orders, Order 105 and 106. There is one flight for this resource to get to the events and return afterward. Since the events are happening in the same place, there's no need for multiple flights, which can be viewed over here on the flights page. The passenger count and manifest is located here in the number of passengers. The pencil reveals that it's just one person, and you can detail their ticket number, the ticket class, as well as the seat number. Finally, the hotel details are logged here. Similar to the flights, multiple guests can be logged into a single hotel stay by clicking the pencil next to the number of guests. The difference is, in this case, multiple guests on a single line are sharing a room. To book a different room for the additional resources, you'll add multiple lines with a guest count of 1 in each. The number of guests field would be used to select which resource is staying in which room. Pretty easy, right? Let's create a new one. Here we are back at the Travel Itinerary landing page. Create, Edit, and Delete options are up at the top right side of the panel here. I'm going to click Create to make a new itinerary. Now, the only required field here is the itinerary name. I can give it an optional description. And then I'll start by adding jobs. Again, down at the bottom, you see pages for jobs, flights, and hotels. I'm on the jobs page, so I'm going to click on the plus over on the right side here to search for jobs. Now, by default, only orders with a confirmed status are shown. Also, R2 automatically filters for jobs scheduled to start 1 hour from the current system date and time. Now, you can always change these filters if you want to be able to access orders and other statuses. Here are the 2 orders I'm going to be planning for the itinerary for. I can select individual orders by clicking on the box next to each, or I can click on the column heading box to select everything. Click the check mark at the top right to add these jobs onto the itinerary. Once added to the itinerary, you can see the date and time requirements for each resource and job. Next, I'll click the flights page, and I'll click the plus icon to add a new row. Now we'll type the details for the flight. The more the better. When it comes to number of passengers, there are a couple of ways we can approach it. One way is to create a single flight with 2 passengers, as in this example here. Let's plan the first leg of their journey in this way. The number of passengers defaults to 2, and if I click the pencil, I'll see both of the passengers and can detail their flight information, individual ticket numbers, ticket class, and seat numbers. I'm going to fast forward to save a little bit of time and having everything filled out here so that you can see what it would look like when completed. Again, there's a single flight record in the background, and when I click on the pencil next to number of passengers, I see both of the resources. In this case, however many resources are associated with this job. Now let me plan their return trip home. In this case, I'm going to add 2 new lines because each person is going to be traveling back to a different destination. Therefore, 2 flights are required. All right, I'll fill out the rest of this information later. But let's say that one of the resources is going home. In this case is Pooja. I'm going to highlight and delete Shawn. That leaves just 1 passenger in this case on the United flight. And again, I'll come down to the KLM. Again, click on the pencil. And in this case, I'll remove the other resource, Pooja, so that this flight is just for Shawn. Again, to save a little time, I'll fast forward to what a completed return trip looks like with both resources assigned to their individual flights. I'll close this box and then navigate to the hotels page now. Again, in this example, I'm going to click the plus icon twice. That's because each row that I add is 1 hotel room. you see the room number is on the outside of the number of guests field. Let me fill out some of the basic information. And I'll fill the rest of that out later. But let me come and determine which guest is going to be in which room. Let's give a room number to each. Now, for the first room, I'll go to the number of guests field and click the pencil. Again, I'll remove the individual who's not going to be staying in that room. In this case, I'll remove Shawn, which means that Pooja is in room 216. For the second row, again, I'll come down, click the pencil by number of guests, and remove Pooja from this room so that Shawn is in room 310. Now the number of guests fields properly reflect 1 for each of the room numbers. All right, and I'm going to leap to the end just one more time to show you guys what a completed hotels page looks like. And all I have to do is click on the Save and Exit button up at the top right side, and I'm finished setting up my travel itinerary. All right, now that we've set up a new travel itinerary, let's see how the labor planner, who may not be the one creating the itineraries, can see when they've been scheduled as well as view pertinent details. We'll come to the planning orders search, and let's look at one of the jobs we just created an itinerary for. I'll open the planning order for it. First, if a resource has been added to an itinerary, there's going to be a suitcase icon here in the IT field. Hover over it to see the name of the itinerary. If you want to view additional details, we'll click on the pencil over here on the left side and choose View Itinerary. That's going to open up a panel on the right side. In this case, there's just one travel itinerary, which you'll see here. I'll choose the one that I want to look at and click the pencil. Now here we are back at the familiar itinerary page. Here's the jobs, the flights that we entered. Again, I can always drill down and see who's on each of these flights. And the same thing with hotels, where they're staying and which resource is assigned to which room. Rounding things out with the new LaborMate mobile app. This will show you how the travel details that we created earlier flow through to the resource on the other end of the app. This is the landing screen for the LaborMate app. The page is divided into 3 sections: requests, current jobs, and down at the bottom, upcoming jobs. You might recognize the earlier Biosphere 2025 winter event. If I tap to view it, it displays a lot of information for me, the resource, including, under the event info here, travel details. The travel dossier appears at the top with both an airplane icon as well as a bed icon, indicating that there's both a flight and accommodations within. Let's take a look. In this area, you'll see the flights at the top and the hotel accommodations at the bottom. At the top, you'll see both legs of the flight that we created, as well as the one hotel stay down at the bottom. Thank you for joining our webinar for Travel Itinerary for R2 Labor today. For questions or a demonstration, please contact r2info@unibiz.com. Again, that's r2info@unibiz.com. Or if you couldn't stay for the whole webinar, check back shortly at our unibiz.com productswebinars.html, a brand new location for all of our webinars. Thank you again, everyone.